Welcome to the new session of a fresh chapter. Today, this section we will be talking about principles of inheritance and variation, and which comes under a broad branch of biology that is called genetics. What is genetics? Genetics is a branch of biology which deals with the inheritance and variation of organisms. Very simple. But what is inheritance and what is variation? Inheritance is nothing but transfer of characters. Inheritance is nothing but the transfer of characters from generation to generation. Variation is the difference in the characters between the generations and among the generations. Got it? Between the generations and among the generations means what? For example, between the generations means parents and offsprings. Parents represent one generation, offsprings represent another generation. There will be differences in the characters between parents and offsprings. Among the generation means, suppose a parent has got 3 children, all the 3 children will be having lots of differences among them. So that is the difference among the generation. So there will be variation between the generation as well as among the generation. And in this chapter we are going to discuss why such difference occurs, why such variation, how the inheritance occurs. All these things we will be discussing in this chapter. Mainly, the chapter talks about the roles of genes, the way they are inherited, and the expression of characters. And the major contributor to the field of genetics was Gregor Mendel, an Austrian monk. Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk, father in a church, but he conducted experiments on various plants like pea plant, hawkweed or hericium, and even beans, and also on honeybees. Okay, Gregor Mendel had done experiments on all these different organisms, but he did not continue much on honeybees, but did a detailed experiment on the pea plants, which is otherwise called Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum. Why did he choose Pisum sativum for the detailed study? Because they are herbs and they the annual plants. Within a small period of time, the life cycle gets over. So the result can be obtained very fast. Analysis can be done very fast for all these purposes. And in this pea plant, particularly, he observed the 7 distinguishing characters. Okay, he observed 7 distinguishing characters. 7 distinguishing characters, which were they? They were the height of the stem, then flower color and flower position, pod, which is also called fruit, the fruit color and fruit shape, and seed color and seed shape. Thus, he observed or identified 7 distinguishing characters in Pisum sativum, and also found that Pisum sativum has got 7 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, Pisum sativum has got 7 pairs of chromosomes, but not all the 7 chromosomes have one character each. These 7 characters, the genes responsible for these 7 characters were found to be only on 4 chromosomes. That is the chromosome number 1, chromosome number 4, chromosome number 5 and chromosome number 7. Okay, so the genes for these 7 characters were distributed on these 4 chromosomes. So, which are those colors? 1. On the first chromosome, the genes for seed color and genes for flower color. Genes for seed color and flower color were there on first chromosome. Then on the 4th chromosome, the fruit shape, flower position and height of the plant. Fruit shape, flower position, height of the plant, the genes were on the 4th chromosome. And on the 5th chromosome, the genes were for fruit color. And on the 7th chromosome, it was on seed shape. So, height is there, flower color is there, flower color is there, flower position is there, fruit color is there, fruit shape is there, seed color is there, seed shape is there. So, this is very, very important. The genes for 7 distinguishing characters were distributed on 4 chromosomes, first chromosome, 4th chromosome, 5th chromosome and 7th chromosome. Next, Gregor Mendel adopted some techniques in his experiments. The techniques were, he took large sampling plots, and then he also carried out the controlled cross-pollination. Basically, Physaum is a self-pollinated plant, but here he carried out the cross-pollination experiment, and then he adopted the pedigree analysis. He adopted pedigree analysis and also used mathematical and statistical techniques for the analysis of the results. Okay, these were the 4 major techniques that Mendel adopted in his experiments. And mainly, he carried out the hybridization experiments at different levels. Basically, he did monohybrid cross experiment and dihybrid cross experiment. Monohybrid cross experiment and dihybrid cross experiment. Monohybrid cross experiment is nothing but the 1 gene inheritance experiment. This is 2 gene inheritance experiments. Means what? Here at a time only 1 character is considered. Here simultaneously 2 characters are considered for the analysis. Understood? So observations will be made for 2 characters simultaneously. And he considered the true breeding parents in both the cases. True breeding parents. What do you mean by true breeding parents? True breeding parents means the homozygous parents, the purely homozygous parents. Okay, the homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive. So he crossed the homozygous dominant and recessive parents and obtained the F1 generation, which was heterozygous, and these heterozygous plants were further selfed and obtained the results in different ways in both monohybrid and dihybrid. What was that? Here the phenotypic ratio was 3:1. Here the phenotypic ratio was 9:3:3:1. Here the genotypic ratio was 1 is to 2 is to 1. Here it is too much. 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4 is to 2 is to 1 is to 1 is to 1 is to 2 is to 5, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, like this. And he also carried out the test cross. What is test cross? Test cross means a cross between the heterozygous individual with the recessive homozygous individual. Okay, so or a cross between the F1 generation and the homozygous recessive parent. F1 generation and homozygous recessive parent. So when that cross is done, the test cross ratio in case of monohybrid experiment was 1 is to 1. Here it was 1 is to 1 is to 1 is to 1. So considering these experiments, he proposed many laws. So here he proposed the law of dominance and law of segregation, which is also called law of purity of gametes. Based on this, he proposed law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment. So law of dominance has got three statements. That is, the genes for the characters are located on chromosomes, and genes may be homozygous or heterozygous. When heterozygous, the dominant character only will be expressed. Law of segregation says that whenever a pair of factors for a character are brought together to a hybrid, they segregate during the formation of gametes. Law of independent assortment says that the factors for two or more contrasting characters are distributed independent of each other during the formation of gametes. Okay. Now if you consider this dihybrid ratio of 9:3:3:1, you should consider that this 3:3 represents the recombination ratio. 9:1 represent the linkage ratio. That is why this 9 represented the parental character, this 1 also represented parental character, but these 3:3 represented intermediary character. Intermediary means the dominance of dominant character of one has got mixed with the recessive of the other, and recessive of the one has got mixed with the dominant of the other. That is the round and green, wrinkled yellow. Round green, wrinkled yellow. So a mixed character, and that was found to be because of recombination. Understood? So these are some of the conclusions drawn by Gregor Mendel using the Pisum sativum. He did this experiment from 1856 to 1863 and published his result in an international journal, but his results were not accepted. Why his results were not accepted? There are many reasons for that. One, the use of the mathematical and statistical techniques. Nobody could follow it. Second, there was no instruments to prove that genes or alleles exist. Then the third is that due to lack of communication, he could not reach the vast majority of the scientists across the world. So many reasons for not accepting his results. Okay, but truth is always truth. Nobody can rule out the truth. That is why in 1902 or in 1900, the Mendel's results were rediscovered. Okay, Mendel's results were rediscovered by 3 scientists like Correns, Shermack and Hugo de Rice. Of course, these 3 did not work together. They did their experiments separately, individually, but all of them came to the same conclusion as that of Gregor Mendel. Okay, that is why Gregor Mendel's results were rediscovered by these 3 scientists, and then onwards Mendel was considered as the father of genetics. Got it? Then many terminologies are there in genetics, like gene, genotype, phenotype, homozygous, heterozygous. So many terminologies are there. So all these terminologies were introduced by different scientists. For example, gene, genotype, phenotype were introduced by a scientist called Johansson, while the term homozygous, heterozygous, genetics were all introduced by a scientist called Bateson. And even another scientist like Morgan also contributed some of the terminologies like linkage, recombination, linkage map, crisscross inheritance, etc., etc. So, contributions by various scientists with reference to the terminologies. Next, later, due to the investigation of various technologies, instruments, devices like microscopes, lots of new knowledges were updated. For example, it was found that chromosomes are there in the nucleus, and these chromosomes segregate during the process of anaphase stage of cell division. So, when the chromosomes move apart, even the genes also get isolated, and this was proposed by Sutton, and later Boveri and Sutton proposed the chromosomal theory of inheritance, based on the knowledge gained by the experiments where through the anaphase stages and other things, plus the Mendel's experiments. So that is called chromosomal theory of inheritance. Chromosomal theory of inheritance says that there are chromosomes are found in pairs. The chromosomes have got genes like this. Genes are responsible for characters. Genes are found in the form of alleles. The alternate form of a gene is called allele. See, this is one allele of a gene, another allele of the same gene. This is also allele of one gene, allele of the same gene. So, the alleles are present on homologous pairs of chromosomes, and they may be dominant or recessive. Okay, so these are all the various aspects of the chromosomal theory of inheritance. And based on this, chromosomal theory of inheritance was experimentally proved by T.H. Morgan. Okay, T.H. Morgan experimentally proved the chromosomal theory of inheritance, and for that he did the experiments using Drosophila. the Cinderella of the animal world, the small mosquito. This Drosophila was considered by T.H. Morgan. Why Drosophila was taken? Because of the size, and the sex differentiation is easy, fast life cycle, and they can be cultured very easily in a culture medium. Okay, so he did the experiment, and through his lots of experiments, series of experiments, he introduced the concept of linkage and recombination. Linkage and recombination. That is, linkage earlier was called coupling. Recombination was earlier called the repulsion. Okay, so earlier it was called coupling and repulsion in a pattern. Now it is updated as linkage and recombination. What is that? See, suppose this is the chromosome, these are the alleles. So the chromosomes have got many genes or alleles like this, a pair of alleles. Now, linkage means it is the association between the genes of the same chromosome. So this is association. So this association is called linkage, or this association is called linkage. But recombination is the interaction between the alleles of the two different chromosomes of a homologous pair. So this is a process of recombination. So this is recombination. When does the recombination take place? It takes place during the crossing over. During meiosis. During crossing over, the recombination takes place, bringing in a new combination of characters, thus bringing in the variation. Okay, so this is linkage and recombination as explained by T.H. Morgan. Right. Now going ahead, we have various types of interactions in the genes. So we have two types of interactions, genic interactions. Just in a brief way, let me tell that the two types of interactions are allelic interactions and non-allelic interaction. Allelic interaction and non-allelic interaction. Allelic interaction means intragenic interaction. This is intergenic interaction. That's it. What is that? Say for example, let's see, this is a pair of chromosomes. This is a pair of genes. Now intragenic means only these two alleles will within these two alleles are the alleles of the same gene. So they only will interact among each other and produce the character. For example, capital T, small t. That's it. But intergenic means, see, these are the different pairs of alleles. Now what happens? This will combine with this. This is capital Y, small y, R, small r. Now this becomes intergenic. Intergenic. Okay, so this is non-allelic interaction, allelic interaction. That means these two chromosomes, these two genes will be interacting among each other, wherein the presence of one only will influence the expression of the other. If one pair of genes is absent, the other pair does not act. Got it? So that is called non-allelic interaction. Say for example, capital Y, capital Y, capital R, capital R. Suppose this is the genotype. Here, this does not produce two characters. This produces only one character. Based on what? The presence of one will have the influence on the other, or presence of this will have the influence on this. One of them will express. That is called non-allelic interaction. Understood? In case of Gregor-Mendel's experiment, where we had capital R, Y, there it was round and yellow, right? See, we had two characters. This had expressed independently, this also had expressed independently. But here look at this. Genotype is dihybrid, expression is monohybrid. Only one character will be obtained. That is called non-allelic interaction. We have again many types under each. They are, in allelic interaction, we have the incomplete dominance, codominance, then the pleiotropy or multiple allelism, etc. Here we have epistasis, then complementary genic interaction, then polygenic interaction. So many types are there, still many are there. I am just introducing you some samples. Now what is the difference among these? Difference is that in incomplete dominance, when two alleles interact among each other, two alleles of the same gene are interacting among each other, they will produce totally different character, an intermediary character. So it is called partial dominance or incomplete dominance. So this is red, this is white, producing pink. And when further selfed, it produces red, pink and white, all the three. That is incomplete dominance. And why it is so? Because none of the parental alleles are dominant over each other. Okay, so here it produces a phenotypic ratio of 1:2:1 and genotypic ratio of 1:2:1. Both are one and the same. Codominance means both the parental alleles will express simultaneously together. Okay, both the parental alleles are expressing. In partial dominance, none of the parental alleles are expressing. So example for this is the AB blood group of human beings, because when it is IA, IB, the individual will get the blood group AB. That's why it is codominance. Both the parental alleles will express in the individual. Pleiotropy means one gene produces many characters. One gene produces many characters. For example, the phenylketonuria, a mutation in a gene will produce multiple characters, as we see in the case of phenylketonuria. Understood? That is pleiotropy. And multiple allelism is again with reference to blood group, where the gene for blood group has got 3 alleles. Which are those alleles? IA, IB and I, athawa I naught. IA, IB and I naught are the 3 alleles. So this is called multiple allelism, and that means normally one gene will be expressed by 2 alleles. Here in some cases one gene will be expressed by will be represented by more than 2 alleles. Okay, that is these are all the various genic interactions. Non-allelic interaction, as I mentioned earlier, it is actually the genotype is this dihybrid, expression is monohybrid. Epistasis means, see, suppose this is the genotype, the presence of this will block the expression of this. So in that case, which is expressed is called epistatic gene, which is not expressed is called hypostatic gene. It is called hypostatic gene. So such interactions are there. Again, epistasis is of 2 types. One is dominant epistasis, where dominant alleles will act as epistatic genes, and the other is recessive epistasis, where recessive alleles will act as epistatic genes. The dominant epistatic ratio is always 1:12:3:1. Here it is 9:3:4. Okay. Example for dominant epistasis is summer squash or cucurbita pepo. For recessive epistasis is the body color of mice. Body color of mice. So it is 9:3:4. See, what you need to understand here is that you add all the three, it comes to 16. 16 is the actual number of dihybrid. This also comes to 16. But expression is only one character, monohybrid. Understood? So that is the difference. Complementary genic interaction means one set or one pair of genes, alleles, will be complementary to another pair of alleles, without which expression doesn't happen. So the ratio for complementary genic interaction is 9:7. Okay, 9:7, and example is flower color in a plant called Lathyrus odoratus. We also have another called supplementary genic interaction. Supplementary genic interaction, where the ratio is 9:3:4 again. 9:3:4, and example is coat color of mice. Coat color of mice. Okay, so you need to remember these ratios. Sometimes for matching the ratios and the interactions will be asked. You better remember these ratios. Sometimes even examples also. Polygenic interaction means many genes will interact among each other and produce one single character. Polygenic means many genes interact each other and produce one character. For example, the hair color, height of the individual, so many things. Okay, skin color. All these are the expressions of the polygenic inheritance. And we have something called reciprocal cross. Reciprocal cross. Reciprocal cross means, see, now what happens? Capital T into small t, right? Now, here this is considered as male, this is considered as female. Now, this is male parent, this is female parent. Reciprocal cross means you now reverse the parents. You consider this as female parent and this as male parent. Now, this is reciprocal cross. The male of the previous experiment will be considered as female in the next. Female of the previous will be male in the next. That is reciprocal cross. Normally, the results of these two will be identical except the case of cytoplasmic inheritance. What is cytoplasmic inheritance? We will see later. Next, there is something called a concept called cytoplasmic inheritance. Cytoplasmic inheritance. What is that cytoplasmic inheritance? See, in the name itself says cytoplasmic. It is also called maternal inheritance. Maternal inheritance. See, now during the reproduction, sexual reproduction, the sperm fuses with egg, right? Now this is sperm, this is egg. Look at this. The cytoplasm of the egg, now this produces zygote. Zygote. Now in this zygote, this cytoplasm has been received from egg only. Sperm does not contribute to the cytoplasm of the zygote. So it is the inheritance of the cytoplasm of the mother to the zygote, offspring. Sperm will contribute only the nucleus, that's all. Chromosomes, one set of chromosomes, that's all, not one pair, one set of chromosomes. This contributes one set of chromosomes plus cytoplasm. So this is called cytoplasmic inheritance. So whatever cytoplasmic organelles are there, like mitochondria, the chloroplast, or whatever cytoplasmic organelles are there, all are obtained from mother, not from father. This is the note. That's why it is called maternal inheritance. It is also called cytoplasmic inheritance. Here, see, DNA is present in 3 organelles. One is in nucleus, that is called nuclear DNA. The other is in chloroplast. The other one more is in mitochondria. Correct. DNA is present in 3 organelles. Now you ignore this because it is mainly responsible for the character of the organism. Now what about this? When egg transfers chloroplast to the zygote, zygote gets the DNA of the chloroplast. When egg transfers mitochondria to the zygote, zygote gets the DNA of the mitochondria. This is called cytoplasmic inheritance. So it may be chloroplast DNA or mitochondrial DNA. Plus many other cytoplasmic organelles may also be inherited. This is called cytoplasmic inheritance. And this cytoplasmic inheritance is of 3 types. Okay, like the organellar genetics, then predetermination, and Door modification. These are the 3 types. Organellar genetics means organelles of the parental cell goes to the daughter cell. Organelles like chloroplast, DNA, or others, plastids, other plastids also will be transferred from the egg to the zygote. Predetermination means some characters will be determined by nuclear DNA, some characters will be determined by cytoplasmic DNA. For example, shell coiling in snails. The coiling, whether it is to the right or left, will be determined by nuclear DNA. But shell will be produced by the cytoplasmic DNA. So this is predetermined. It is 100% known. This you cannot say. Whether it turns to left or right will be known only after the nuclear DNA expresses. So that is called predetermined. Door modification means some extra particles present in the cytoplasm will move to the daughter cell. For example, we have two instances. One is the kappa particle, the other is a sigma particle. Kappa particle and sigma particle. See, kappa particle is a bacterium present in the paramecium cell. Sigma particle is a virus present in Drosophila. Got it? Means in the egg of the Drosophila, mother Drosophila, cytoplasm will have some viral particle. So when that Drosophila produces zygote, that zygote will also receive this particle, viral particle. So it is called sigma particle. Parental paramecium cell will have a bacterial component which is called kappa particle, which is very poisonous. And that parental paramecial cell will transfer the kappa particle present in its egg to the offspring. So that's called Dor modification. Apart from cell organelles, other extra particles present in the cytoplasm will also be inherited. This is called cytoplasmic inheritance. We have something called sex determination. Sex determination. What is this sex determination? It deals with the determination of the sex of the new individual. When a new individual is born, whether it is male or female, so how that decision is made, how it becomes male or how it becomes female. So, this sex determination is based on the sex chromosomes in an organism. Every organism has got two sets of chromosomes. One set is called autosomes, the other set is called allosome. Autosomes are called vegetative chromosomes, allosomes are called the sex chromosomes. Sex chromosomes, okay. These vegetative chromosomes or autosomes, they decide the vegetative character of the individual, for example, height, color, etc., etc. Allosomes or sex chromosomes determine the sexual features of the individual. Maleness, femaleness, characters related to maleness and femaleness, all are decided by sex chromosomes. Majority are autosomes. Only one pair will be sex chromosome normally. Varies from species to species, but normally like that. One pair will be sex chromosome. For example, sex chromosomes are of two types. One is X, the other is Y. It is also sometimes ZW, X0, so many types are there, but let me consider X and Y. X is X is for femaleness, Y is for maleness. If the individual gets Y, that individual becomes male. If there is no Y, individual becomes female. And this X chromosome was discovered by a scientist called Henking. Henking from insects. Okay, Henking has discovered X chromosome. So now based on X and Y or sex chromosomes, the sex of the new individual is determined. But that sex determination pattern will vary from one individual, one species to another species. For example, case of humans, it is X and Y type of sex determination. Why? Because, see here, autosomes, the male will have two chromosomes, two types of sperms, A plus X, A plus Y. This is in case of males, A plus X in case of females. If the sperm with the X chromosome fertilizes the egg, the individual will always be female. If sperm with Y fertilizes the egg, individual will always be male. So it is the male sperms which are responsible for the sex of the new infant. Since the male has produced two types of gametes, here it is called male heterogamety. Male heterogamety. In case of birds, it is called ZW type of sex determination. Here, male will produce only one type of sex chromosome, only one type of sperms, while the female will produce two types of eggs. Okay. Now the sperm, if you fertilizes the egg with the egg Z, it becomes male. If sperm fuses with the egg having W, the individual bird becomes female. So here the female has produced two types of gametes. So in birds it is female heterogamety. So you must know this. Male gamete heterogamete in humans, female heterogamete in birds. 1. Next, in case of insects, it is X0 type of sex determination, where male produces 2 types of sperms, one sperm with X chromosome, another sperm without any sex chromosome. But female produces the same. So this is also an example for male heterogamy. When the sperm of the insect with X fertilizes the egg, the individual becomes female. Insect becomes female. If the sperm without any sex chromosome fertilizes the egg, that becomes a male. Hence, always number of chromosomes in females is more than that of males, because there is only one sex chromosome here. There are 2 sex chromosomes here. So number of chromosomes in female insects is more than the male insects. Okay. Next, we have sex determination for this one. Honeybees. Honeybees. In honeybees, the sex determination is called the haploid diploid type of sex determination. Why it is so? Because the queen produces the egg, that is A plus it is egg, and drone will produce the sperm. Drone produces the sperm. Now when sperm fuses the egg, it develops into females, always females. Fertilization product is always developing into females. But some eggs will directly develop into males. So it is always haploid. Now these males become drones. These females can become worker bees or queen bees. So this is haploid diploid type of sex determination. So it varies. We have a special type of sex determination pattern, that is in case of Drosophila. Proposed by that theory is called genic balance theory. Genic balance theory. Okay, this genic balance theory says that in case of Drosophila, it is based on the ratio. The sex is determined. What is that ratio? The ratio of the number of autosomes to the number of X chromosomes will decide the sex of the individual. Got it? Number of autosomes to the number of X chromosomes will decide the sex of the individual. So, if the ratio is 1, that individual will be female. If the ratio is 0.5, that individual becomes male. If the ratio is below 0.5, it becomes a super male. If the ratio is more than 1, it becomes super female. If the ratio is between 0.5 to 1, it becomes intersex. Okay, so this is called genic balance theory of sex determination in case of Drosophila. We have something called pedigree analysis. Pedigree analysis is used for determining the inheritance pattern of a particular character. So pedigree means the family tree. So in the previous generations, whether the one particular disease or any character was there and how it has got inherited, pattern of inheritance. By studying that pedigree, by analyzing the pedigree, family chart, family tree, a particular decision is made regarding any genetic features. Okay. For that you get this kind of pedigree analysis will be given in the exams. Charts will be there. I am not going to put all those things today. You get even in NCERT textbook there are pedigree charts. Using that you will have to analyze and identify a particular character. And finally coming to mutation. Mutation. What is mutation? Mutation is a sudden change in the gene, base sequence of the gene. That is called mutation. So this mutation can occur in the genes or may occur on chromosomes. That's called chromosomal aberration. This is called genic mutation. In genes, the mutation is of different types. One main one is the point mutation. Point mutation. And point mutation is of again different types, like the nonsense mutation, missense mutation, then substitution mutation, then frame shift mutation. Frame shift mutation. So point mutation means what? At one particular point in the gene, a change will occur. For example, G, T, C, A, T, A, C, G. Suppose this is a gene base sequence. Now in this, one particular point, the change will occur. Not that entire base gene, all the sequences not getting changed. Only one particular base gets changed. That is called point mutation. It may be nonsense mutation. Nonsense mutation means the mutation may, before the mutation, that was a normal codon. After point mutation, this transforms into a terminator codon, nonsense codons. A normal codon transforms into terminator codon, that is called nonsense mutation. In missense mutation, if already there was a normal codon, the missense mutation will cause one more normal codon. Only the amino acid changes. Amino acid changes. Okay, for example, as it is seen in case of sickle cell anemia, the glutamic acid will be replaced by valine. Glutamic acid will be replaced by valine. So it is a missense mutation. Substitution mutation is of two types again. Substitution mutation may be transition type of mutation or transversion type of mutation. In transition type, the purine base will be replaced by another purine base. Suppose earlier A was there, that A will be replaced by G. Or pyrimidine base will be replaced by pyrimidine base. Earlier C was there, now it will be replaced by T. In transversion, a purine will be replaced by pyrimidine. A will be replaced by T or G will be replaced by C. Anything. All them will bring in a new change. That new change will lead to various types of the Mendelian disorders. Mendelian disorders. Various types of Mendelian disorders. Frame shift mutation means, now look at this, A, C, G, A, T, T, C, G, A was there. Now how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are there? No. Frame shift means there may be deletion of a base or there may be an addition of a base. What is that? A base may be deleted. Earlier 9 were there, ಈಗ only 8 are there. So deletion. Frame shift got compressed. Or it may be added with one more base. Earlier 9 were there, now it becomes 10, now it is extended. That is called frame shift mutation. It brings in so many diseases like Tay-Sachs disease. There are so many Mendelian disorders like, I am not going into all those details, just example, the autosomal diseases like the phenylketonuria, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, etc. Allosomal diseases like the hemophilia or color blindness. Color blindness. So these are autosomal diseases, these are allosomal diseases. Both thalassemia and sickle cell anemia are associated with the blood. But in sickle cell anemia, there is a qualitative change in the blood. Thalassemia will have a quantitative change in the blood. Both will lead to the death. Phenylketonuria means the tyrosine will not be metabolized. So it gets accumulated, finally leading to, phenylalanine is not metabolized, supposed to be transformed into tyrosine, which doesn't happen. So phenylalanine gets stored in the brain cells and many other organs and finally disabling all the organs. In hemophilia, the blood clotting does not take place because of the absence of the clotting protein. It is of 3 types: hemophilia A, hemophilia B, hemophilia C, due to the absence of clotting factors like clotting factor 8, clotting factor 9, clotting factor 11. Color blindness is a problem where the individual will have a difficulty in differentiating between the colors. Okay, so these are all the various Mendelian disorders which are resulted due to the genetic mutations. And mutation in the chromosomes is called chromosomal aberration. Chromosomal aberration. This chromosomal aberration will lead to chromosomal disorders. Why it happens? It is due to some changes during the cell division. Okay, some changes. So here you have transversion, then reversion, so many types are there. So many types are there where a segment of the chromosome, see, now this is a chromosome. So a segment of the chromosome may be deleted. A segment of the chromosome may be added. A segment of the chromosome may be reversed. A segment of the chromosome may be transferred to another chromosome. So many types are there. So these chromosomal disorders are of many types like the autosomal disorders like the Down syndrome, where at the 21st position there is a pair of chromosomes in the 21st position. Now what happens is that with this 21st pair, one more chromosome attaches, see. So instead of 2, there will be 3. So here, instead of 46 chromosomes, individual will get 47 chromosomes, so leading to Down syndrome, which is also called Mongoloid disease. Okay, Mongoloid. Sex chromosomal diseases are, you can also give the example of Cry-Du-Chat syndrome. So this is the change in the 21st chromosome, this is the change in the 5th chromosome. The individual will cry like a cat. Okay, so this is trisomy, one extra chromosome. This is due to partial monosomy, 45 and a half. A small portion is cut. So the individual will cry like a cat. So cry to chat syndrome. So these are examples for autosomal disorders. Allosomal disorders are Klinefelter syndrome or Turner's syndrome. Turner syndrome. So this is again the case of trisomy. This is monosomy. Individual will have 47 chromosomes, individual will have 45 chromosomes. Here individual will have autosomes. This is in case of males. Males will have an extra X chromosome. So there is an extra X chromosome. So he will show a tendency for femaleness. Okay, breast development, gynecomastia will be there, and he will be normally sterile. This is in case of females, and individual will lack the X chromosome. Only one X chromosome will be there. So she will be sterile, and the ovary will be rudimentary, and there will be lack of many female feminine characters. Understood? So many diseases are there with reference to the aberrations and Mendelian disorders, that is the genetic mutation. Understood? You can collect so many examples for each of this, but this is overall the gist of this chapter. Okay, thank you, all the best.